call this meeting of the Madden School Board to order. Ms. Humphrey, please call the roll.
President Thompson.
Present.
Vice President Kazi. Here. Member Hunt.
Here.
Member Holcomb.
Here.
We have a Member Gresham. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Hunt, seconded by Mr. Holcomb. Please vote. Motion passes. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Kazi, seconded by Mr. Hunt. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We're now adjourned into executive session.
there yet? Okay. I want to treat it like we always do. So just kind of listen. Oh, good. Door's open. Yay. Thank you. All right. Okay, all right.
I got this. Where can I put it?
Compliments is this one. Good. Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you.
Ooh, look at that. I like that.
Should we just sit down or?
Sure thing.
Chair!
Each other's seats. We're also honoring a couple of folks that work at school. Miss Rhodes is getting a Shining Star Award.
Feet off.
Mr. Magani is getting the You Make a Difference Award.
Can I go tell my friends we can
For a
sit
show.
in here?
You guys are out. You want to hang out.
Cool.
They'll come in.
The board will not be nonplussed. They understand that. That means unhappy, or displeased, because we're leaving early. This is the question. Sadly, I don't have anything new to play for you guys tonight. Little reprise going down.
We'll be okay with that. Yeah, it's got like kind of.
Xylophone. Keeps rattling that tambourine in there.
I didn't know we were able to go.
Hey kids, they bring that tambourine over here. We should go.
Why aren't you going to do it?
Thanks, Luke. This is always kind of a weird lopsided thing, because I don't want to be in front of the kids. It's going to be kind of right here. Get out the magic.
That doesn't matter.
What?
Doesn't matter. Come sit down. Let's read this first.
Well, where are
Where are you? What do you want to know?
I'm gonna sit on that side so I can see, okay?
There's one little table with two chairs.
You see your coat, your shirt. What happened to it?
I go to
Well, it says like your mom said it had a stain on it or something.
That's like the name.
What happened?
These are my
Oh,
brushing
no.
my teeth. They're like
Oh.
the presidents of the
Is it a toothpaste thing? Toothpaste. Right on. That's it.
Do you need a job?
You see, yeah.
There's probably be a fifth, sixth grade science position open
Why not? So she was
at MTA next year.
Does that work for my
There's a
Come sit in the
We'll,
front row.
we'll make it work.
Sir, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you, dude.
I'll think
I'm
about
serious,
it.
Lauren, if you're interested. Well, we'll get someone else. Lily should come. Hopefully she'll have a little. If not,
She said she
would. Plain voice.
She said she would.
All right, cool.
Well, yeah, no, we're doing it. Yeah, I know.
Before she worked. I swear there was something I wanted to ask you.
That's 3 or 4 minutes. Wherever it is.
Yes. La 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 la. Xylophones go. Dun 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 dun.
Not a tin phone, it's a software. Okay.
Oh yeah. I forgot we like. Two seats. Come on, oh, dang it. That's because it has wheels.
That's awesome. That's the best thing ever right there. Yeah, no, I love that. I'm so glad. Maybe some of your travel radio, right?
It's ready.
Wait, where's Alex? My umbrella. If it rains, take out my cane.
Okay. Good. Seriously good. Right on. Thanks, man. There are wheels.
You want to? You made it. That was fun. Yeah. That's why it was sad. Did you see him? I just saw him. Okay, I was gonna say. Meeting starts at 6. Or
That's true. That's true. That probably is true.
Where did the black box go?
From myself, I do that all the time. Yeah. So like, do you just your shirt? It's cool. I was like, excellent. Nice. Yeah. She was being also not. She was being right. Because I gave her a free book with it, and we were looking at it, and she's like, "That's not my picture." She's like, "They don't have my picture." So we came for a ceremony and everything. Country singer. Years ago. She was my first country singer in Australia forever. But doing fine. Like tomorrow, Trump's place in Florida. And she's covered the shop. I'll be curious to see if she's seen it. But she seems like the type. She's like, I don't think I should. I think so. She seems like the type. He's just. Oh! But you're gonna leave your hair. What's messed up? Right. Fell asleep at night. I told him did not, and he was like, well, yeah, it's Olivia Rodrigo. I couldn't get him to. He woke up out. No, I don't know what you're talking about. What is this that you bought me for my birthday? So I couldn't get him to wake up. I did buy you this for your birthday when you were so cute. The shirt I bought for Ella for her birthday when you're so cute. My birthday. Mine's out. I'm sure I gave you other things too. No. Really? I didn't give you else with this. Orders it from Target. I doubt that. Okay. I'm going crunchy. That's what I asked you. You said you wanted them Sunday. I'm sure the one inside will give you your stuff on Saturday.
The kid did change.
Oh, awesome. I don't know. Aunt Nan may get you gifts, she may not. We don't really have money to buy other people's children's gifts these days. If he gets a bug up, I modeled an album or something. Grandma will get me some craft or something. But yeah, and then we can get my acceptance presents on Sunday or next Sunday. Yeah, she needs that. Your dad's pretty. What did you invite? Like friends of us? Mm-hmm. Well, I know you're gonna have like your dad's family. Dad's family. Gabby or Jeff. Gabby's coming? It's up to you. Yeah, that's great.
Mikey was calling him.
She's not allowed to go places, right?
She is. She's allowed to go to birthday parties. It's very like, you know what I mean? But it's fine. Also, have a plans to meet. And Ellie. Someone said probably yes, but it depends on Ellie's mood. So if Ellie wakes up and she's like, I want to drive, and he was like, obviously he doesn't come. She's gonna ask again. Just like
She hasn't even come to our house.
Is that Melanie?
Well, maybe there's.
already on the mood, but Saul can't go to our meeting, so we're gonna probably know Saul takes it.
Oh, so going to pass? I want to sleep on my stomach, but I don't do that. Also, I think after having all the systems, that's my shot. No, I know, but like not playing a sport. I would just do it now unless you want to keep doing it on Saturday. Yeah. I wouldn't, I don't, should I have to now and then?
So you should go fast.
So you should go fast.
I think I'm a birthday letter.
Huh?
No, it's just that she has to be. Weird. She has just one spot of burning.
Whatever. She told me she was.
Don't like something like this. It doesn't have
It's on 16th Street. Going south, it's going to be on the right hand side.
Okay.
And it's like a color.
Yeah, I get that. I had one of those in middle school.
It's just like a white color. Seven. Her suite is right on that wall, like there's a window, but it's too far in, so like she wouldn't be able to like flag you down.
It's like you're almost how to jump in.
She's one day together.
But like, this is part of the reason like you're like.
Duration of thereof.
All of a sudden got really close to her. I said, the team has done this before. Like end of friendship. Or like middle end of
This is her daughter. This is, I met her when she was 30. I met her when she was 20.
I would have said the first word you were on the same but like,
Yeah, it's unspoken. There's like an unspoken.
but like if she was a big up, why would I?
Touche, yeah.
And so,
I believe that girl.
and so then, it's in Brooklyn, I kind of do the same thing. I see Alex is getting done. Well, also to Alex was actually not that so then I asked her to do
Good for her.
she would never say it to him. Because they have right here, like, so then all of a sudden she's super big.
Showing the spot where they rent out.
All of a sudden it's super close to the yard.
Yesterday's musical.
So I guess if you just like because the other ones that are on that sheet are not back. So you'll see the other ones. All those
My first choice was outside. The second half.
A little bit.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, like accents. That's her. Yeah. I can tell. I can tell. You know, she figured it out. And good for you to answer that, but never once said, how are you doing?
At where?
Park. Middle school. It's one of the Madison Park.
Actually, I think it's
Okay, good.
no, I think
So like you know there's only times you know
Yeah.
well you can tell she just doesn't want to be around you.
Like, so why am I here with you?
Or like why are you here?
Or yeah, why are you near me if you don't want to use me?
Everyone to her made like latched on to the gold rush. Like wanted
Jasmine, they have a tricky as they ask.
the two things that was really interesting. It wasn't really not. It wasn't like she wasn't trying to be nice. She was just like careless.
Careless.
Okay. Not like she's not gonna like. I didn't. I didn't. She's like, I mean, she's not out to get you. But she just like, oh, she wants to she'll forget.
And I know.
From what I've heard, she get that fear when I
Huh? Words are never paid. Yeah, and Sunny's on boards like with other cities. But they make this sometimes what she wants paid. just talking about me. How yours, Reagan? Here? Tuesday, you're actually done. They're gonna come up front. Well, we probably need to go back. Probably two sets. Because your brother has a problem. Your brother I'll get him at 2:30 and then free for
I got Stanley on assignment. I called him Stanley. President.
I see kids sitting on the
Oh yeah. No, and
That's good.
Just be careful right here, okay, guys?
Are you guys waiting for me? Huh? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. I thought we were going to help. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Adam Roach, and this is the Rose Lane Children's Choir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll start out with the national anthem. Flag is back there. Kiddos. No, please, you guys aren't, you can't be any more patriotic than singing the national anthem.
Customary.
We
play a little number for you. It's one of my favorites. In fact, I performed this piece of music the first time when they were having the groundbreaking ceremony for the Madison Center for the Arts. In fact, that's one of the most special performances ever. And these guys, they slay it. We're going to do Video Killed the Radio Star.
All the kids are gonna go back to the
All right. Flag.
Thank you, Dr. Garrett. Thank you, guys. My pleasure. Thank you. You guys have got a great bunch of kids here, man.
Can we ask the Rose Lane Children's Choir to please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Please go ahead.
Here, kiddos. I pledge allegiance.
Thank you all so much. You did a wonderful job at the presentation. You all guys can all leave now if you'd like. You're free to go, or you're free to stay if you want.
Thank you very much.
Well done. For those online, we're just going to wait a couple of minutes until folks leave the room, and we will start up at 6. For those online, the agenda says that we will reconvene at 6 o'clock, so we'll just be starting in just a minute. Okay, my watch says 6 o'clock, so I am calling this meeting back to order. We already had the Rose Lane Choir lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, so next I will move on to communications and announcements, presentations and recognitions. Dr. Guerin.
President Thompson, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, I'd like to welcome MDTCA President Anna Andrews to the podium.
Thank you. The Make the Difference and Shining Star Awards are presented by the Madison District Classified, Certified, and Classroom Teachers Association and Madison Administration to recognize the certified and classified staff who truly demonstrate Madison's vision of inspiring passion for learning and leading in an ever-changing world. All right, our first You Make the Difference Award recipient is Nicole Rhodes. Nicole Rhodes exemplifies what it means to make a difference at Rose Lane. She has a deep passion for literacy and a genuine dedication to engaging her students in learning experiences that are both meaningful and enjoyable. Her creative approach sparks curiosity and helps foster a lifelong love of reading. Her extensive knowledge of books allows her to carefully choose texts that resonate with her students, encouraging them to connect with stories and ideas in a way that feels relevant to their lives. Nicole shares thoughtful quotes and facilitates discussions that inspire students to try new books and broaden their interests. Beyond her classroom, she leads a reading challenge for teachers, encouraging colleagues to explore new genres and expand their own love for reading. Nicole's influence reaches across the entire Rose Lane community. She enthusiastically leads the school spelling bee, helps run the media club that delivers daily announcements, and consistently creates lessons that capture students' interests and passions. Her commitment to literacy enriches not only her students, but also parents and fellow teachers. In addition to her instructional strengths, Nicole brings a positive, uplifting energy to every interaction. She approaches challenges with a solution-oriented mindset and is always ready to support both students and colleagues, no matter the circumstance. Her work in supporting social emotional learning and helping students develop empathy contributes greatly to the positive culture at Rose Lane. Nicole's willingness to go above and beyond is evident in everything she does, whether it's staying after school to support fellow teachers, helping students who are in other grade levels, or creating a welcoming and inclusive environment. Nicole embodies the spirit of collaboration and kindness. She is a natural leader and a shining example of what it means to foster a positive school culture where every member feels valued and supported. Nicole's impact at Rose Lane cannot be overstated. She touches the lives of students, families, and staff in profound ways every single day. Her passion, dedication, and unwavering commitment truly make Rose Lane a better place. We are deeply grateful for Nicole and all she brings to our community. She is, without a doubt, a difference maker in every sense of the word.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Would you like to say something?
Thank you. I appreciate my coworkers who wrote me up, and Rose Lane is in my blood. I brought my baby who's Rose Lane alumni. My husband is Rose Lane alumni. It's just in our DNA.
Oh, thank you. Let me give you this. Our names are in the room. Oh, yeah. Or we sat in the rows.
All right, and our Shining Star Award recipient is Mary Del Orco. We are so proud to celebrate Mary as she receives this well-deserved award. Mary is very dedicated to MTA's students, colleagues, and families. She is known for her positive demeanor and warmth in every interaction. Her dedication to her students shines through in everything she does, from the way she supports their growth to the strong, genuine relationships she builds with each of them, and her collaborative work with her colleagues. She is always willing to help in any way she can. Mary goes above and beyond to make a difference in the lives of those around her. We're so grateful to have her as part of our team, and we can't imagine anyone more deserving of this recognition.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Come on up.
Would you like to say something?
I don't have any names. I mean, thank you for recognizing me. I have a great team at MTA, and I'm just a reflection of them, really. So, thank you. So much.
Thank you.
Do you want to point that we got?
Congratulations.
So, Warren Balance, you can stand on this side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we're done.
We're done? Oh.
We'll invite her.
Yeah.
Those eagle-eyed folks might notice that there were 4 people being recognized, but only 2 were publicly recognized here. That's because we had 2 folks who were unable to attend due to illness, and we'll make sure we get those awards to them. But Dr. Guerin's already met them at their schools and let them know they were winning these awards, so thank you for that. Dr. Guerin, Superintendent's report.
President Thompson, Vice President Kazi, members of the board, and guests, it is a busy time of year, and there is so much happening around our campuses, it's hard to capture it all. Last Friday was a busy day for our community. Rose Lane hosted a carnival at Madison No. 1, while at the same time, our Meadows students delivered a performance of Aladdin at the Madison Center for the Art, and they had their own magic flying carpet. It was amazing. Also on Friday, Simus celebrated an important International Baccalaureate Day of Service. This weekend, be sure to catch No. 1's production of The Day the Internet Died. And looking ahead, please mark your calendar for December 5th when Madison No. 1 will host an orchestra concert. For ticket information, please visit the Madison Center for the Arts website. I love how the website highlights all our student performances alongside the professional performances. We are also celebrating the resounding success of Discover Madison Kindergarten and Discover Madison Middle School. I truly enjoyed meeting our future kindergarten students and their families as they explored our early learning programs. We were pleased to welcome both in-district and new to Madison families to Discover Madison Middle School as they learned about our middle school offerings. My sincere thanks to the communications and marketing team for their exceptional efforts and to our principals for proudly showcasing their amazing learning communities. Last week, we also paused to honor our servicemen and women for Veterans Day. Madison Heights and Madison Park honored our veterans with heartfelt flag-raising ceremonies. JROTC students from Camelback and Sunny Slope High School conducted the flag presentations. Madison Park's honor band performed the national anthem, and our principal shared inspiring remarks. On behalf of the entire Madison staff, student body, and community, we extend our deepest gratitude to all our veterans for their courage, service, and dedication, including Board Member Hunt. Thank you for your service. As we approach the holiday, I want to wish everyone a wonderful Thanksgiving break filled with rest, gratitude, and time spent with family and friends.
Thank you, Dr. Guerin. Let's move on to board member reports. Mr. Hunt.
Thank you. Well, first to the Rose Lane Children's Choir, incredible work. Just really shows you the high level of learning in the arts that's happening at Rose Lane. Just really incredibly impressive. For any families out there that are considering schools, elementary schools, Rose Lane is just second to none when it comes to the arts, and is getting an unbelievable new facility. So they should come check it out. And then final thing, just wishing for all staff and teachers and students a restful break. We're almost there. You've put in incredible work. It's been a great semester, 2 quarters so far, and thank you for your dedication. I hope you get some downtime with your family and people you want to be around. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Ms. Gresham.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I would also like to thank Mr. Roach and the Rose Lane Choir. They were amazing as always, and I just was hoping for more songs. I wanted to stay and keep rocking out, but that was wonderful. So thank them for. It's been a busy fall. We had a few of us were at the Madison No. 1 period packing party. So we packed menstrual products for our own students and for our other organizations in the community. That's always a good event. That's the second time we've done this. We've had a parent and our social worker organize it, and anyone can come and donate and bring and pack the packs. So that was great. I think we packed 1,000 bags in total. Yeah, in like less than an hour. Let's see, and I was able to give the tours for the middle school bus tour. That was fun because I've never done that one. It's new. Last year was our first year, and I've done several of the elementaries, but it was nice to get to go to all the middle schools. And that was great to meet some families that are in Madison and also new to Madison, as Dr. Guerin mentioned. And I always love doing those. I told my own kids I was going to go give the bus tour, and I had to clarify. They asked why I was giving a tour of a bus, but I was not giving a tour of a bus, although sometimes they might have those. And lastly, this morning I got to go as our representative for the foundation, Madison Education Foundation. We got to go give out the teacher grants that teachers had applied for. So I went to MTA, got a few, and then I got to go over to number one. And I like how you record the Rising Star and the awards, because it's fun to see their reactions. So I wish we had recorded them, because at first they wonder why their principal's coming and all these people and board members, and so they think like they're like, what did I do? But then they realize that they won something, so they're all happy. So that was nice as well. Yeah, I think that's all I have there. We have families be aware that the spelling bee season is approaching, and I'm already booking up for pronouncing, and so hopefully I'll see some of my other board members too. But yeah, so if any other schools need me, let me know. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham. Mr. Holcomb.
Thank you. Yeah, it is spelling bee season, but I don't pronounce. If I did, it would sound more like you were in Oz than in Madison. But I am looking forward to judging with the rest of the board members as well. It's always a lot of fun. I want to congratulate Rose Lane and the Rose Lane choir. As I was watching them, I thought about, I'm working with some high schools on their music program and choirs, and one of the directors of one of the high schools said they're looking forward to having us come sing for them because they wanted to see a choir that moved. And the first thing I saw is this elementary school choir moving, and with such joy and in such intention. It was great. That really touches my soul when seeing the kids and how much they enjoy it. I also want to thank my other board members, particularly for all the efforts that they're taking, and particularly the Discover Madison tours, which are a huge part of our continuing bringing families into the Madison School District. And so I think that's very important. And I want to wish everybody a very healthy, particularly with the COVID going around as strongly as it is, but a healthy and happy Thanksgiving. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Holcomb. Ms. Kazi.
Oh, I did forget one thing, too. Besides the performance, I hear the performance. Yeah, sorry. That's the problem when you put a microphone in front of me. I apologize for that. I wanted to remind everybody who hasn't heard of it yet, though, that the Madison is having a sale,
Black Friday sale.
Black Friday sale, thank you. Black Friday sale, you can get tickets for all the Madison shows for 50% off on November 28th. They're already a great value, but check that out. It's the more we can support our local community theater, which also is our school theaters, the better. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Kazi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to add to that, it's the biggest sale of the year, and it's through Cyber Monday. So it starts on Black Friday, but continues through the weekend. Wanted to mention I was also able to attend the period packing party at number one, and it was really amazing to see young middle school boys helping to support those efforts. And it just really underscores the work we do in Madison to build better humans. I mean, there's so many reasons why that is impactful and important. I also had the opportunity to serve as a bus tour guide for the Discover Madison kindergarten program, and we were lucky enough to visit Mr. Roach's room when he was singing with his choir. We heard an entire Beatles song, so it was pretty magical. So I kind of feel like I got my encore tonight because of that. And then finally, I just wanted to wish our entire Madison community a lovely Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just be brief. First of all, I also participated in the Discover Madison tours. I want to thank our marketing and communications team. You did such a wonderful job in organizing all of that. I know it's not just getting the buses here, but getting everyone's name tags so that we can make sure everybody's secure going through the facilities and getting all the materials together for parents. And just thank you, Jackie, and your team for all the work that you did. It went off flawlessly. Also want to thank all the administrators who participated and gave those tours and then took time to come back over here to have lunch with parents and answer questions. It was incredibly valuable. And also want to thank some of the schools, students participated in giving those, particularly at the middle schools, and want to thank those students for doing that work as well. I will say I was recognized at a restaurant by a parent. Didn't you give me a tour last week? And then when I was at my kid's school, a student said, they looked at me funny, and it was like, oh yeah, I saw you at a board meeting. Are you coming tomorrow to give the tour? Because I'm giving the tour. Will you be here? So it was interesting, but parents are really excited, and we're excited to be able to show off Madison. You can always call a specific school and get a longer tour. We emphasize that these were really kind of like speed dating for the schools, and people can go back and look at campuses, and we encourage them to do that. Sports are starting. I know a couple weeks ago we had tryouts, and now we've got kids who are at practices multiple days a week. I want to thank coaches, both staff and volunteers alike, for the work that they do with our students. And I also want to thank our bus drivers, not only for participating in the Discover Madison tours, but also for the work that they do to transport our kids back and forth to those off-site games. Thank you very much. We've got winter map testing coming up at all of our campuses, so get your students ready for that after Thanksgiving, but before the holiday break, I believe. And then also it is the season for showcases at the schools. I know you mentioned number 1 showcase and the events that took place. Also, Madison Park is having their winter showcase at the Madison, which we're really excited about the bands, but they're also going to bring their artwork into the lobby area on, I think it's December 3rd. So looking forward to that. Next item.
Thompson, can I add real quick? Something I wanted to mention with the foundation grants is we had almost all our schools receive one, but I would love to emphasize, teachers, if you're listening, or any parents that want to encourage the teachers next time. I can't remember if they do a fall and a spring, or yeah. So please, we do a lot of work fundraising, everything, and this is the point, is to give these grants. And if we don't have teachers apply, we can't give them. So I would greatly encourage as many teachers as possible that to apply, because I would love to see every school get a grant and multiple teachers at each school. So thank you.
Thank you for adding to that. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Does any member have an item they'd like pulled off the consent agenda? And if not, will someone make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
I will second that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Hunt, seconded by Ms. Causey. Please vote. Motion, maybe. The little hamster's running very slow today. Oh, we're voting again. We're being very positive how we're voting on the consent agenda. There we go. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is call to the public. Pursuant to board policy, time has been set aside for call to the public. This is an opportunity for individuals to address the entire board in a public setting to express their views or concerns. State law limits our ability to respond to comments made during call to the public. However, we do hear remarks and ask that the superintendent follow up to provide us with information regarding any issues that are raised. To keep us on schedule, each speaker has no more than 3 minutes to speak. I don't believe we had any online calls to the public. Ms. Humphrey, are there any public calls to the public here present?
We do not have any calls to public.
I didn't think so. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, board policies first read. Dr. Guerin.
President Thompson, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, it is Deputy Superintendent Barb Marshall's turn for first reads.
Thank you, President Thompson, members of the board, members of cabinet. The 4 policies that we bring forward for the first read are all based on revisions that have been made to Arizona statutes that went into effect at the end of September. So these reflect current practice as required, and this is policy catching up with those. We have the reporting child abuse and child protection. This law has been amended to include board members in the mandatory reporting category, as well as substitute teachers, and also puts a requirement on the schools to verify the Department of Child Safety workers are actually employed by DCS before they can see a student on a campus. So that's a statute that has been put into effect. And then policy JR is on student records. There's just a lot in the public and nationally just about student privacy and parental rights. So this statute is regarding the disclosure of directory information and schools obtaining parental consent prior to sharing any of that directory information. We did check with our legal counsel and shared with the principals. This does not impact our partnership with law enforcement, that when they come, we do share information as requested with them. The JLCD medicines and administering medicines, they have changed epinephrine auto injectors to just be the delivery systems, because there's more than an auto injector that can be used to get your epinephrine. And then it also includes language allowing students to self-administer certain medications and the guidelines that we would have for that. And then a year ago, but we're catching up through policy as well, the statutes require the diabetes management plans that are in place at schools. So that's included as well. And then the student health services and requirements, I think just a misconception in the public that schools are staffed with school nurses, and that is not a requirement in Madison. We have the 8 schools, we have 4 RNs and 4 what we coin health associates. This statute would require under a parental request to disclose the credentials of who is in the health office. And I'm already working with Mr. Thompson so that our schools where it says nurse's office will change and will say health office, so that that is that transparency for families as well. So again, these 4 are related to revisions to state statute, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Ms. Kazi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just curious on board policy JLF and how it pertains to governing board members in regards to becoming mandatory reporters. I don't see in the policy that process is if we go through the district or we go directly. Is there going to be guidance provided on that, or just because there is it's a little gray to me, and I would love to fully understand my responsibilities under the law.
So they have added the board members, I think, just because your involvement at the schools and being on the schools, if you do notice something to be reported. The guidance that we have in Madison, although every employee is required to be a reporter, and that employee who has the suspicion does report, but they also inform the school principal, and there is an exhibit that's also with policy that we fill out just so that we have that record of it. And so I would ask that if you see something on a campus, yes, you are a mandated reporter, but that if you could inform the school principal or an administrator, just so the school is aware of the situation as well.
Just to respond to Ms. Kazi, because I feel like I did a training or something about this when it came out, and I don't know if it was ASPA or what, but it was very detailed, explained what you have to do. So, and yes, I think it's all of the above. You report to everyone you possibly can. But yeah, look, I'll have to
It's
see.
SBE, it's the State Board of Ed and the investigative
State
unit.
Board put that out. Yeah, there's some online thing that we should all be doing. We should all do.
Thank you, Member Gresham. And that reminds me that the County Attorney's Office had put out information and recently had a webinar providing information as well. And I have worked with Superintendent Guerin to have the County Attorney's Office present at at a PTO luncheon. It might be the January one, I'm not sure. But that they would provide that information for families as well as other topics from the County Attorney's Office.
Great. Mr. Holcomb, is your question about JLF? Because I have something to piggyback on.
It wasn't originally, but I believe that I raised another question looking at what you raised, because I'm looking at the mandatory reporting, and it says, shall immediately report or cause reports to be made of such information to a peace officer or to the Department of Child Safety. So I'm just curious, generally, how does Madison handle that within? So, because I would think the same process would apply to the board members as it would to a teacher who has that as well. So
And-
how does that reporting process go?
To piggyback off of that question, there's been some reports in the press that other school districts might ask people to report it to the district, and then the district is responsible for reporting to the entity. I read the statute differently than that, but if you could enlighten us on that policy. I think you gave a similar answer a moment ago, but if somebody sees something, how does that process play through? And then what other reporting is required? Obviously, there's mandatory reporting that's required to state authorities regarding the protection of that child, but what about reporting to State Board of Ed certification or any of that? If you could kind of tie that into your answer, I'd appreciate it. And that might be both you, Ms. Marshall, but also Dr. Lomeli as well.
Okay, thank you. That's a great question, Member Holcomb, to clarify for everyone. So the Department of Child Safety will handle child abuse situations when it involves family, so family to the child in question, and the peace officer if it's a non-family member that would be suspected or would be involved in it. You can still report to DCS. They would then give you that guidance that because it's not a family member that you are have the concern about, then they would direct you to call a peace officer. So you can call either one to report, and they would direct you to the correct one. But the rule of thumb, DCS if it's family, and a peace officer if it's a non-family member. And then I believe your question would be related to a staff member if there was an allegation of child abuse. And so I will turn that over to Dr. Lomeli.
When it comes to staff members, we do make reports to the police, but we also do report that to the state board as well. And we have all of our staff members are fingerprinted, and they are in the state board web area so that we could easily make reports if there's any situation for a report.
And to be clear, thank you, and just to follow up on that, to be clear, if one of our staff members sees something and is reporting that to DCS, reporting it to the authorities, letting their principal know, which I'm sure moves up the food chain, so the district is aware of it as well. Do we then ensure that there's a report any place else if it's something necessary, if it was another teacher or if it was somebody, even if it was an act that we found out about at a previous school district or anything like that?
Yes, Madam President, if we do become aware of any information, we report, and we when in doubt, we report. But yes, we report everything that comes to our attention.
Thank you for that. I know there was some recent news about a teacher who was involved in some inappropriate acts with students who was not reported within the certification unit, and then ultimately they were hired by another school district. And I think it's so important for us not only to deal with those issues internally, but to ensure that we're protecting not just our students, but the students in the state. So I appreciate that we're doing that.
Just to clarify, President Thompson, that was not a teacher in it was in a different district that happened. We're not the ones that did not report.
We are not the
Just to
ones that did
clarify
not
that.
report. Correct. I
Clear
am
on the record.
appreciative that when we see something, we say something to everyone, not just take care of the problem quietly and sweep it under the rug for someone else to deal with later. Any other questions regarding to these first read policies? Thank you both for answering those questions. We appreciate it. Board policy second read, Dr. Guerin.
President Thompson, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, both Dr. Lomeli and I have second reads on these policies. We're happy to answer any question. There's no changes from the first reads, and if you prefer, you can vote on them as a package.
Are there any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the package of 9.2, 9.3, and 9.4 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Holcomb, seconded by Ms. Gresham. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next, information items. Student achievement update. Dr. Guerin.
President Thompson, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, we're always very excited for our annual presentation from Dr. Bayankowski. I just want to comment, I'm so proud of the effort of the students, the teachers, the undertaking of doing statewide assessments every year. But I also want to note that they're just one measure that informs our instructional practices. And as we look at letter grades systems measure several indicators: proficiency, growth, chronic absenteeism, among others. So Mr. Piankowski will paint a picture of what's included in the letter grades. I also want to note that besides just our annual assessments, we don't want to wait once a year for information, that we use both formative and summative assessment systems in Madison. As President Thompson just mentioned, we have some coming up, so that we have timely, ongoing data to drive instruction. So data will be presented tonight that will be both celebrations and areas that we will examine for growth. I'd like to turn it over to Deputy Marshall.
Thank you, President Thompson, members of the board, members of cabinet. As you know, the Arizona Department of Education has recently released the student achievement data from the state assessment that was taken last spring. So this is a point-in-time assessment, but as Dr. Guerin shared, there are some other factors that are included in the A through F accountability system, acceleration, the chronic absenteeism, and so on. So to explain all the components and to share the results for Madison District, we have our Director for Research and Evaluation, Jason Piankowski.
Thank you, Dr. Piankowski. Welcome.
Thank you, President Thompson, members of the board, Dr. Guerin, members of cabinet, and our community stakeholders. Thank you for the opportunity to present information today related to the A through F letter grades. I'll provide some overview of some of the indicators as well as our results for the spring of 2025 evaluation period. For A through F letter grades, there's various different thresholds to reach those different letter grades. To receive an A score, a school would need to earn 84% of the points. To earn a B, they would need to earn 72% of the points available for that process. And I want to highlight that so that school community understands how things are rated, as some stakeholders may be more familiar with more traditional rating scales of 90, 80, 70, so forth and so on. On our next slide, this is meant to provide an overview of how proficiency is evaluated in the system. In our system, proficiency is 30% of the overall formula, and students have the opportunity to be evaluated as minimally proficient, partially proficient, proficient, or highly proficient. One thing to note is that traditionally folks like to look at these tests as if they are a pass rate, a yes or no score. Did they pass or did they not pass? And I'll refer to that during these presentations as a pass rate. That's a useful piece of information. But in the A through F letter grade system, they use a weighted proficiency, which weights partially proficient students. Those partially proficient students are able to do things. They're able to read, and they're able to do math things. So the system wanted to acknowledge that progress that those students and those teachers had made, to say that although they're not at proficiency yet, they're on track to be proficient at some point. And they also have weighted highly proficient at a higher rate, saying if those students are able to get close to perfect scores, that is also a celebration too. So in this table, you can see how those scores may present differently, with 5 students passing and 5 students not passing, 50%, versus the weighted proficiency, 71% weighted proficiency. Typically, a lot of public websites will use the pass rate in their reporting, but ADE and the A through F letter grade system will use weighted proficiency. I apologize. In this presentation, when we look at FAE students, this is pass rate, and what we're doing here is we're comparing the Madison School District versus the state of Arizona outcomes, and we're looking at the ELA pass rate for grades 3 through 8. And we can compare the Madison School District rates to Arizona, where we see in our grades 3 through 8 scoring at above average threshold in comparison to the state of Arizona.
Mr. Pienkowski,
Yes.
FAE is full academic year, so those are students who are within our district for the full academic year, not a partial year?
Thank you very much for pointing that out. It is equal apples-to-apples comparison. Students who were designated in Arizona as being full academic year students are enrolled in the first 10 days of the school year up until the end of the testing window. When we look at our spring 2025 AASA mathematics results for our pass rates in grades 3 through 8, also again, FAE students, where we're comparing the Madison School District versus Arizona, we see a similar trend with ELAs, where our Madison School District students are outperforming the state of Arizona. Thinking about those trends overall within the A through F letter grade system, as well as our various different pass rates, when we look at the overall system, MTA, Heights, and Simus are continuously demonstrating high proficiency, and we'll see some of those scores shortly. And Meadows and Rose Lanes have showed a nice upward trend with proficiency over the past several years. Rose Lane has demonstrated a notable proficiency when compared to other schools with similar population and demographics. They've really had a nice set of upticks in various different indicators over the past 4 years, which we'll see shortly in proficiency as well as other areas. When we look at growth, that's 50% of the formula, and they look at growth from students over time and their trajectories. And those things are weighted differently. A minimally proficient student in 1 year who has high growth enables the school to earn more points. A highly proficient student who is highly proficient in 1 year and has high growth will only be able to earn a school 1 point. So the system is incentivizing the growth of students who are at lower performance levels. There is discussions at a state level to alter that process to some extent because there's a concern that students that have higher populations of minimally and partially proficient students have access to more points and therefore may be impacting the evaluation process as a whole. So that's an ongoing discussion at the State Board of Education. Thinking about that, Also, we have English language arts scores, and that is 10% of the formula. And with our English language arts scores, Azella learning scores, that's 10% of the formula. Although it is only 10% of the formula, it actually impacts the formula quite significantly, where with that indicator, it's a very volatile indicator because of the population has a tendency to move and relocate and enroll in different systems, as well as the amount of time it may take different types of EL learners to acquire the English language, depending on where their families have experienced English language development over the course of several years. And it has a very high impact and is one of the more volatile indicators that we see. And Campbellview actually last year demonstrated very strong results in Azella, where they had a significant amount of EL students at their school, but had very significant growth, as well as a significant number of students becoming proficient over that course of the time. So it was a really great celebration for those students as they'll be able to use those supports that they've had over the past years to continue to grow academically in other ways. Another component of the A through F letter grade system is acceleration readiness. And this is kind of a cornucopia of many different indicators, where they lump quite a few different indicators together. And bigger schools typically have more options to gain points just because they have more access to points, whereas smaller, more homogeneous schools might have less access to points, but they look at how students are prepared in 8th grade, how students are prepared in 3rd grade, chronic absenteeism, the inclusion of special educations and general education, as well as the subgroups of different students that are represented in the schools. As you can see, all the different points that are possible that can be earned for those different areas, but that ultimately is capped at a maximum of 10 points, even though schools typically, especially in Madison, earn well over those 10 points. The item is still capped at 10 points. Related to acceleration readiness, one thing to note is that all of our Madison schools improved chronic absenteeism rates from the previous year, or maintained rates similar to last year, and Rose Lane showed a substantial increase in improvement. So that school and community really worked together to help increase the number of students who are on time and attending regularly, and they really improved their chronic absenteeism 5 or 6 points, which was a very significant jump. Madison #1 demonstrated a significant increase in the percentage of 8th grade students who are at the highly performing realm, which was very good in consideration of all the different program enrollments that have been changing. And then Park and Meadow showed a significant reduction in the percentage of students who are minimally proficient, so graduating a lot more, or promoting a lot more students who are on track to have the skills to be able to navigate high school. This graphic might be overwhelming at your first view. But what it takes into consideration is on the left side, our students with our schools. Each one of these dots is a school, and 0% means 0% free and reduced lunch students. All the way on the right, you'll see a bunch of schools colored there in various different colors. Those are schools with about 100% free and reduced lunch status, and our schools are the black dots on those lines, and you could see a trend line going through the middle. And what this is looking at is the level of chronic absenteeism reported at our schools in 2024-25. So the higher up you are on the chart, the less chronic absenteeism you have and the better things are. The lower you are on the chart, the more chronic absenteeism you have. So from left to right, we see MTA in that upper left corner, and then we see Simus, and then we see Meadows, and then we see Heights. So all those schools are graded with that blue color or purple color, meaning that they're above the state average for, or doing better than the state average for that chronic absenteeism. And as we move from left to right, we see Madison #1 and Rose Lane, again colored in that blue area, with having better rates than anticipated for schools that are like them with similar demographic populations. And we round off with Campbellview and Park being right around that realm, maybe slightly above that average, having above average chronic absenteeism rates, or more positive chronic absenteeism rates. And in thinking about that, also, there are bonus points that are available for schools. Science, you can earn up to 3 points. Our elementary schools can't earn any of those points because they don't administer the science assessment, although all the learning that happens in those elementary schools does build up into what happens in middle school for those science assessments. And then there's also an opportunity to earn special education enrollment points if you have a high level of special education students enrolled at your school in comparison to the end count of your school in general. You can earn that. There's not really a strategy to do that. It really depends on what types of students are enrolling in your school. With that, we have some results related to our various different schools. Here we have Rose Lane Heights and number 1, which often serve many of the same communities. You can see that Rose Lane progress on proficiency moving from 16 up to 23 points over the course of those 4 years. Also, one thing I'd like to take note as that percent tested line, although it might seem like a minor detail, but almost all of our schools are 98% or above 98%. We're trying to capture the information on those students as much as possible. Some of the reasons why we might be less than perfect on those indicators are if kids are sick, if there's an issue with a potential test where a test might be invalidated because of a computer glitch, or students move. They move out of state or another school doesn't finish assessing them. But all of our test rates are above average compared to the state, and we often receive high positive feedback from that. Then when we look at Camelview and Park, which serve a similar community, please note that that 10 points that Camelview moved up to on the EL proficiency and growth, where they've been having a little volatility, now scoring 10 of those possible 10 points for EL, which is we're really celebrating that outcome. And then lastly, Simus Meadows and MTA. Looking towards the left with MTA scoring 30 out of 30 of their points consistently and almost earning all of their growth points, as well as some of the other schools on this item doing well with consistent performance. Thinking about that considerations with our school improvement plans, we're constantly focusing on Tier 1 instruction to improve the outcomes of as many students as possible. We have had some program location shifts and enrollment trends over years, which have had some impact on our indicators. The EL is a big indicator that does have impact on schools receiving points. The end count to qualify for EL is only 10 students. So if you have a school of 700 students and you have 10 EL students, those 10 students could have a major impact on what your scores could be. Chronic absenteeism is a main driver for many of the results we see. As schools start chipping away at chronic absenteeism, we start to see lots of growth improvement and then lots of proficiency improvement. And those two, chronic absenteeism and student growth percentiles, are intertwined. And then we've been working on our MTSS systems at our elementary schools and then really focusing on our MTSS systems at middle schools. And Ms. Jones has been working with site leaders as well as district leaders to help make sure in her role as the MTSS specialist that we're optimizing those resources as much as possible to increase the outcomes for students who are targeted as being most in need and ready to move forward to increase their trajectory towards proficiency over time. With that, any questions?
Thank you. Questions from board members? Ms. Kazi.
So I know we've been talking about potential changes and how growth is going to be measured. Can you give us kind of an update on what the State Board of Ed is saying right now?
One of the conversations that's happening right now is potentially uncoupling the growth scores from the prior year performance and simplifying the measure to have a cleaner, simpler growth score. And the rationale between that is there are some schools that are consistently demonstrating high rates of proficiency but are not able to access high A scores or sometimes A scores. It's a smaller subset of schools, but it is a set of schools that are consistently having quite high levels of performance. And then another one is to the other framing of that growth conversation is related to the requirement to move towards indicator scoring. where the State Department of Education, as well as State Board of Education, will be providing letter grades on each indicator. So proficiency right now is part of the A through F letter grade system, but they're going to assign an A, B, or C, or D letter grade for proficiency, an A, B, C, or D letter grade for growth, an A, B, C, or D letter grade for EL, an A, B, C, or D letter grade for acceleration readiness. And the department and the board want to make sure that those indicators stand well alone. They were originally designed to be intertwined quite a bit, and so they're meant to complement each other, and they don't work well separately. So that's part of it, is to have them isolated into a standalone measure more effectively.
So if they remove previous year, the measurement of growth will be based on a subset of comparison to other students? Is that what they'll be going to?
Yes, and I was not clear. When I meant removing the previous year was the weighting on that one table, where a minimally proficient student can earn a school 2 points if they had high growth, versus a highly proficient student can only earn 1 point if they had high growth. And so that weighting is something that's being discussed about undoing or redoing in a different way, so that one of the issues right now with that growth is not too many schools get less than 30 points. And so if it's a 50-point scale and most schools don't get less than 30 points, everybody gets clumped together quite a bit, and it's hard to differentiate who's really doing good stuff and who's not doing as much good stuff. So we're trying to spread that scale out a little bit so that we can really see the difference between how things are growing, because there's a lot of opportunities for points there. So that's one of the bigger pictures of why they're trying to do it, is spread things out a bit.
Thank you.
Mr. Holcomb.
Yeah, just unrelated to that, because I was looking at that little sconce as well. Is what they're proposing, do you think that is an improvement, a detriment, or just moving the numbers around?
My involvement.
This is not being recorded, by the way.
Nobody else is going to hear about this?
Right. Okay. No, they're just us, just between us.
Well, my agreements or disagreements with those conversations are also publicly available for folks to see. So if you're looking to find out what I really say about it, you can tune in. But I think it is intended to be done well. And have those indicators stand so that they're informative for the schools. I don't think that there's an attempt to shift the numbers around in any haphazard type of way, or even in a malicious way. All the conversations I've had, the intent has been, how can we get meaningful information out of here to understand how well things are working. And if I disagree or agree with it, it'll depend on the final decision, which has not been finalized yet. But we have gotten quite a bit of feedback from the State Board of Education about what their priorities are, and they still are looking to value where are the students who are most in need, and we want to make sure that doesn't lose focus. So get those number data dorks out there and figure out how to do it in a meaningful way.
Thank you.
Yes.
To that point, I ran the State Board of Ed for a period, and every year there was a new conversation about how we were going to change the letter grade system to improve it. While I appreciate there's always room for improvement, us constantly changing the goalposts is also not necessarily helpful. But I do understand the need to make sure that schools have access to points in a meaningful way, so we can really understand what accountability means and what these letter grades mean for schools. To that point, I know that you said in your presentation, and I want to emphasize that a large portion of this is a point in time, one test that's taken at one time of the year in April, before the school year is finished. There's a whole month and a half of school left after these tests are taken. I think that's important for the public to be aware of. I did want to ask, let me make one other point and then I'll ask a question. Second of all, you brought up in part of the presentation that our there's access to points based on the mix of students and the number of grades that are tested. So I just want to point out from my experience, there are schools, like the school I went to growing up was K-6. So there were 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, 4 grades that were tested. Our middle schools have 4 grades that are tested. Our K-8 has more than that that's tested. Our K4s only have 2 grades that are tested. So I think it's important to remember when we're looking at these letter grades to know that sometimes, especially in our elementary schools, it's a very narrow band of students that are being tested, and it's not necessarily a reflection of the entire of the entire program at a school. So wrapping all of that up into a question. My question is, I know we have the statewide assessment that's mandated. We just talked about giving our MAP assessments throughout the year. Do you see a correlation between that MAP testing being a predictor of growth and achievement on the statewide test? So I guess the other way to frame that was, based on the MAP testing data that we have, was any of our statewide testing outcomes a surprise? Therefore, letter grades kind of come after that. That makes sense.
Yep. With any assessment, there may be examples of a student who scored 1 on one assessment and another on another assessment. But holistically, when we look at our MAP data, there's a significant correlation, typically 0.8, 0.9 in mathematics, 0.7, 0.8 in English language arts, which used to be lower, but recently has crept up quite a bit as far as its correlation. So it is highly predictive on the proficiency level. Usually, I am not very surprised about what those results are. And students that are schools that demonstrate holistically higher growth on the MAP assessment translate into higher growth and a similar outcome on AASA. They're not causing each other, but they're saying a lot of the same information. We might find some variation on a student-to-student level, big groups, same things.
Wonderful, thank you. I just also want to point out on slides 9 and 10 that have to do with the FAE pass rate and math and ELA pass rate, we are doing fine in Madison. We can do better. But I just want to point out the statewide pass rates and how atrocious they are. 3rd grade reading, 3rd grade ELA, which I know is bigger than reading, but 3rd grade ELA, 37% are passing. In 8th grade, 42% are passing. If we look at mathematics in 3rd grade, 43% are passing math in 3rd grade. In 8th grade, 29% of Arizona students are passing. These are not appropriate numbers for how we can serve our students in the future of the state. We're doing better than that at Madison, but we still have room to grow, a lot of room to grow in some grades. And I appreciate all that our educators are doing to help make that happen, and the school action plans that we have in place to help move that forward. Yes, Ms. Gresham.
Ms. Thompson, thank you. I wanted to just ask, middle school is hard, and our middle schools are 5th through 8th grade, which makes it probably even harder, like you mentioned, like there's different grades. Our schools test different grades, but is there something we should be paying attention to as far as middle schools, Mr. Pankowski? Like anything that stands out to you that maybe we could be doing better in our middle schools?
Middle schools.
As far as this letter grade.
Yeah.
Assuming it doesn't.
Thank you. Middle schools is a complicated situation. We have had discussions at the ATAC level about the assessment at the middle school level. Is the assessment a little bit more difficult at the middle school level than it is at the elementary level? Is that some of the reasons why some of those proficiency scales may be altering? There is a different expectation of some of those things at middle school levels. And then also in Madison, we also have some of that 7th and 8th grade scenario of I'm starting to realize about these tests, and are all these tests going to matter when I go into high school into a different system? When we look at our 8th grade scores, although they might have been some of the lower numbers on that chart that I showed you, when we compare them to other 8th grades across the area, we're doing better than the state average in many schools. So middle school is certainly an area we can improve on, and we're really attacking the middle school scenario from 3 areas, or 3 viewpoints. One is improving Tier 1 instruction holistically. How can we make sure that instructional environment is done as well as possible, but then also identifying students who are ready for an advanced placement and have demonstrated on MAP that they have mastered certain grade level skills and are ready to be accelerated further so that we can get them on track for what it is that they're able to do. But then also working with our MTSS systems to identify the needs of those students that are coming in and maybe plateauing or whatever it might be, to make sure they're still getting what they need after they've transitioned out of that kind of bubbly, fun and elementary environment where there's not too many adults they're interacting with, to the middle school environment where it's a little bit more of a complex system. So some of the scores are lower, and there is various different reasons for why that could be, why that is happening.
Thank you. Any other things we should pay attention to, non-test score things maybe in middle school that we should know about? I'm just trying to look through.
Chronic absenteeism.
Absenteeism, yeah, anything else like that stands out that we should? It seems like all our middle schools are kind of similar. I mean, they're very different demographics, but our letter grades seem to be all very similar. It's interesting. But.
I think also if you look at those scatter graphs or line graphs plotted along, you will notice that there is a correlation between socioeconomic status and fill in the blank. Chronic
Absolutely.
absenteeism, achievement, any of those things, proficiency, growth. And I think that personally, I think that as there are opportunities specifically for the federal government to cut programs that directly impact those students, we're going to have some pretty hard choices, and we need to be really clear about what that means for students and their success.
Yes, that's definitely a clear correlation. I just find it interesting that even our other, if you go and buy free and reduced price lunch, even our other schools, they all seem to have the same letter grades. So thought that was interesting. But thank you.
I had one more question, because this idea of acceleration triggered a response in my head from previous conversations about A through F letter grades. I'm assuming, not that I want to pile on even more points for middle schools, but I'm assuming that there aren't, like, if I'm remembering right, in the high school space, there were points for either accelerated programs or AP dual enrollment, those type of things. None of those are available to middle schools. So if we had students who were taking high school level classes or a dual enrollment class or anything like that, we don't have access to any points related to that acceleration. Is that correct?
That is correct. Okay. We used to, and they undid that opportunity.
Oh, I didn't make that up. I did. Okay, I thought there used to be one in K-8, but okay.
President Thompson, anecdotally, it is hard. I believe it's harder for middle schools.
Yeah.
To get that letter grade that day.
Yeah.
I think those high schools they're calling it college readiness now, or career and college readiness, which, we don't really.
And there's a host of other points that are associated in there. And just because you take, from my own reading years ago of this, just because you're taking algebra in middle school does not mean it's really algebra that you're ready. It's not necessarily the same algebra class that you would have in high school, and seeing that performance in the high school of how your students move. Be interesting to see the Helios data, how our students perform in math and English language arts once they leave us and go to high schools. Oh, one more question. Sorry to keep you up.
Actually, this is not a question, but I want the people who are not in the room here or haven't been through this. This is we've looked at this data multiple different ways. We've gone through SIOP, individual schools. The schools are using this data. Not the letter grades are just one point in time and one part of this. But this information has been presented, I think this is probably fourth or fifth time. We've seen this in various ways and how it's being used, and from the individual school level up to the board level. So when we look at this, it's not just, okay, this is the letter grade. We're using this in multiple ways and to try to improve every aspect that we can.
Yes, Dr. Guerin.
And I want one more comment because I just have to.
Pile on.
I've grown up in Arizona, so I took the California Achievement Test. There was the Iowa test. There was one where we had to cut and paste things. I was a kindergarten teacher then. I blocked out the name. But when we had the Ames assessment, the proficiency levels all around the state were much higher. And then switching to AASA, the rigor of the test also impacts. So it's really hard to compare. It's not apples to apples. So
I just remember I was on some parent committee at the Department of Ed. We had to review questions for sensitivity. And I think that when I learned how few questions students take to determine their proficiency on whatever it is at that grade level they need to be experts on, it is just such a small pool. So if a student doesn't, messes it up for a silly reason, it's just, the test to me is flawed in many ways. I mean, generally a test, like I love with math, like a student answers a question correctly, get a harder question, it goes up. But conversely, to truly fully understand their understanding of that content, of that standard they need to master. This particular test has just so few data points that it is stunning to me that we are using it in the way that we use it in the state of Arizona. That's just how I feel about it.
Wouldn't it be nice if the MAP assessment were on the menu of assessments? I'll just leave that out there.
Huh.
Wouldn't that be nice? Then we'd have one less test to take. Okay, next item on the agenda. Thank you so much for the presentation. Student support through teaching and learning systems. Dr. Guerin.
President Thompson, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, I always love every opportunity to talk about our strategic plan, our SIOP, school plans, and Cognia accreditation, and how they all tie together. And I think the board, when you sat through the school SIOP presentations, you noted the focus on strengthening teacher practice, building leadership skills, to improve student learning, and that we're developing systems in order to make all of that happen, and that they're all integrated, tightly integrated and aligned. And the size of our district helps us do that. So I think this presentation it's just very appropriate that it follows the student achievement presentation. So student supports through teaching and learning systems. Ms. Marshall.
Thank you. I don't know what more to add.
I'm sorry, I just get very excited about this stuff.
Thank you.
President Thompson, members of the board, members of cabinet, the only thing I will add is just a reminder that last year you approved a new teacher evaluation system that is very focused on student learning. And so everything that Dr. Guerin talked about with the leadership capacity and strengthening our teacher skills, all toward that student learning. And so very pleased, and I've told Ms. Webb, our curriculum director, this legacy she is leaving for Madison teachers, and what a passion project this teacher evaluation system has been, including all the supports that she's providing for the school administrators and teachers. So tonight we do want to show you how that teacher evaluation system fits in to all of our systems, including the SIOP. So we'll bring Mr. Pienkowski back as the Director of Research and Evaluation, who oversees the school improvement process, as well as Laura Webb, our Director for Curriculum Instruction.
Do you want to present? You got it.
No.
Do you want me to start or you?
Go ahead.
Oh, you're first.
Okay.
All right, you can push. Good evening, President Thompson, members of the board, Dr. Guerin, members of cabinet, and guests. We're pleased, I'm very excited to present
how we are developing within 2 different departments in educational services a cohesive and integrated plan. So it's not 2 big systems that we're implementing. We're integrating them into one throughout multiple opportunities and events throughout the year. So with that.
Thinking about that, during this presentation, we're going to be talking about these big systems that are available in Madison, where we have the TES, the Teacher Evaluation System, as well as as we've mentioned throughout this meeting, our SIAP plans, our School Integrated Action Plans. The tool that we use to action out those plans is Building to Impact, which is a resource that has been created by experts from across the world on how to implement school integrated, or how to integrate, or how to create school improvement plans. We're trying to make that a coherent, evidence-based system by using the tools that we need to help improve the instructional environments in our classrooms. And the 2 topics that we're going to be addressing today are really aligned to our cognitive standard focus areas from our last cognitive accreditation practice, where they wanted us to think more about Standard 17, which is how learners are supported. And we're thinking about that through our MTSS systems, our classroom instruction during this presentation, as well the whole child approach, which our school improvement plans certainly address the whole child approach, and then our teacher evaluation system addresses that as well. And then on Standard 26, about the regular evaluation of our instructional programs. We've been evaluating our outcomes through our school improvement plans, but now we're integrating the teacher evaluation system more effectively into our SIAP plans so that we can more rigorously evaluate our instructional programs and organizational conditions.
So the main idea of this is that these 2 systems in Madison were designed to build leadership capacity so that we can improve instructional capacity so that students grow, basically. So as you may recall, the teacher evaluation systems changed this year, as Ms. Marshall talked about. We redesigned a system that was over 10 years old. And so as a way of designing that, we took on some principles that were very important. The first one being that the indicators that we have in this evaluation system are aligned to research-based practices, and each of them have rationales. So that's very evident to the teacher, to the public, why this is an important indicator on an evaluation system. It's also usable for all teachers, not just ones that are in tested subjects or grade levels. It is usable for all interventionists, all teachers in the classroom. The most important thing to me is that it involves multiple methods. So it is not just one observation. It is not just one particular point in time. It takes evidence and looks at various different types of evaluation. Or it uses it to create an evaluation. So as an example, observations, artifacts. We ask teachers to think about their evidence from PLC conversations, maybe student work. All of those combine into showing what's best instructionally in practice in their classrooms. It's also aligned to district and school goals and SIAP priorities. So we include things in there like engagement, like MTSSB, types of principles that are important to the district and to the schools, and it is wrapped up into that teacher evaluation system. And it also equally important is that it focuses on continuous improvement. Again, we're looking to have multiple feedback loops so our teachers continuously are improving, and that is very aligned to the Building to Impact system.
Yep. We're looking at information to make decisions. We're constantly looking at information on how do we do things better. Building to Impact is all about that. I believe one of our recent conversations is all about doubling back. We've implemented a system, we've prototyped a system. How do we go back and make that system more effective? Building to Impact very encourages that process of looking at what's working, trying to maximize that, and looking at what might be needed, what might need to be de-implemented, so forth and so on. But using a process to generate data to make those decisions. And with Building to Impact serving as our change management helper for our school improvement plans, one of the things that it really focuses on is how initiatives are implemented. Do you have information to find out how well things are going out in the field, how well teachers and students are engaging in a process before we can just say our scores went up and we're happy? If our scores went up, do we have evidence to say here's why we think that happened? And that's a key component of building to impact in our school improvement plans. And that's how it intertwines with the teacher evaluation system, because if we're seeing that folks are becoming more successful with the various different indicators of our teacher evaluation system, we can make that connection to say we're becoming more effective at instructional delivery, and that's a probable cause of our increased achievement scores. And the framework that Building to Impact is built on has been thoroughly vetted by experts from across the country, as we mentioned before, across the world, and they have outlined tools for us to use to be thorough and effective with our conversations on proving what we're doing. Okay. Great.
We're going to talk about this on the next slide.
Yep. And so thinking about that, we've created a visualization to kind of describe how our systems are intertwined. The red box is up towards the top is really a timeline of visual components of the intertwined systems for building the impact. During that time frame of the year, we're looking at level 1 and level 2 indicators, which is about implementation and engagement. Did we give everybody the resources and tools and professional development that we needed to move forward? And how are they engaged with that? Do they understand it? Are they using it? What's their perceptions on it? And then around this time of year, several months going forward, we're really focusing on looking at level 3 and level 4, which is about learning and change. Do we see that PD, professional development and resources, are taking root? Do we see people using the resources we want to efficiently? And then towards the end of the year, we start to think about those level 5 and level 6 outcomes. Are kids growing? Are kids increasing proficiency? Are kids having less suspensions, so forth and so on? What are those big indicators that we want to see over time? And so that's the framework of the year of how we're focusing on different concepts. We have our SIOP sessions, which are highlighted in yellow, where we have our summer planning. We have our board reports, where we come and talk about implementation. Then we have our site visits after the holiday season, where we talk about how are things learning and changing. What do we need to think about for this year? What do we need to think about for next year? And then importantly, this year especially, we've really focused during our instructional leadership team meetings to talk about our SIOP plans relentlessly. Some of my colleagues might say, where our peers are pairing with each other to steal ideas from each other, to get guidance from each other, to collaborate with each other, as well as hone in on what the tools are that they're using to help make those changes. So you can see those ILTs addressed. And then we have our data discussions where different people from educational services come to sites and say, here's your beginning of the year data, here's your middle of the year data, here's your end of the year data, what questions do you have, how can you use it? And so we intertwine those different pieces to help move things forward.
I would say we also try and ask them a lot of questions to get them to reflect on their data, on what they want to do. So it's a very collaborative process in the data hours.
Absolutely. One of the other components is our Madison Common Pacing Assessment, which have been organized by Ms. Milne. And those pacing assessments are aligned to the priority standards of the state, and they help teachers evaluate proficiency throughout the year. They're also another tool besides MAP. NWA MAP, another tool that's very correlated with the outcomes of AASA, and it helps us understand how they're doing within that moment of time on those particular set of priority standards so that we can move forward. And those are sprinkled throughout the year, and they can talk about those and review them during their PLC times throughout the school day.
Wait, you're back.
It's in order.
I want to talk about that one first. One of the things that I do want to highlight is both with the improvement process and with teacher evaluation. In many other districts, it's one and done. We train,
we do an observation, and then I don't have to think about it for the rest of the year. We do a school improvement plan. It gets put on the shelf, and we really don't look at it for the rest of the year. If you notice through the timeline for this, both of these systems, we are constantly reviewing, constantly going back, constantly having conversations to look at what we've done, to make adjustments, to keep moving forward. It is not just doing it to check it off the list and put it away. So in this slide, I want to highlight a couple of things with instruction. Mr. Piankowski already talked about ILT. We split ILT time. We have time with, ILT means instructional leadership team. And I do want to highlight, it is the site admin that attend, the district leadership that attend, all the instructional coaches, the mentors, the district coordinators, and then we have some of the signature program specialists at the sites that also attend. And we invite everyone so that everyone is on the same page, especially for SIOP planning. What are the school goals? What are we talking about? When we get to instruction, in my portion of ILT, we spend time in professional learning. We spend time talking about not just the TES, but we talk about what the instructional best practices are. It gives us the opportunity, both of our teams, when we present during ILT, are modeling different types of things that we want to be replicated out in the field and out in the different schools. So instructional strategies, data analysis, really important to have collaborative conversations with some assistance, with guided practice, right, for our administrators. And it also helps us facilitate collaborative conversations. We just had one on Monday. We presented data from the TES to give them an update on where we were. And some of it is better at some sites than others. And we have the opportunity to collaborate and talk about, okay, what are you doing? How are you getting into so many classrooms and I can't get into them? What are we doing to help each other? So those are really good conversations that happen every single month. We don't just do it and forget. We're continually going back. In this, we also have TCT. That is a generous gift, right, of time. And TCT is divided into professional learning, or PD days, or time. I should say professional development time and PLC time. The way that sites divide that can be in varied ways. It could be the whole time, it could be parts of a TCT, it could be a lot of different things. But they equalize, or they try and equalize that time. And the PD this year has been focused on elements of the teacher evaluation instrument, best instructional practices. I know that many have spent time on deconstructing standards, understanding the depth of standards so that the teachers are clear about what they're asking kids to do. And that's an important part of the teacher evaluation system. And I think that that teacher evaluation system has driven some of this because they know that they need to be evaluated on it and we have to get better at it. And so there's more intention in the TLC conversations, there's more intention in paying attention to the professional learning, right? Because we know that there's an accountability system along with that. We also have added to that this year a new thing called inter-rater reliability. And so it's a little bit of a throwback to what we did a long time ago. We brought it back, and inter-rater reliability is an opportunity for administrators from different sites. We've paired them. We go to a site, we walk through, we do instructional rounds, we walk through and look at a teacher, we evaluate or we observe a full lesson. Then we come back out, and the 4 administrators and myself and Ms. Marshall will sit and analyze the lesson. We'll look at what we saw, we'll talk about it. We talk to the administrator about what we would coach, what are the most impactful things to have a conversation with the teacher about. And then we help them prepare a coaching conference. We invite the teacher to come in, and the administrator does a coaching conference in front of everyone. So it is you have to be very vulnerable to do that. But the feedback and the collaboration that has occurred through that, we've done 2 so far. We have 2 left to do in the spring. The report back to me has been very, very positive. They enjoy it. It's very nerve-wracking, but they're enjoying that collaborative and collegial kind of conversations that are centered around instruction. And so we're really pleased that those have happened this year. And then finally, on the very last page, we have other different kinds of things that are happening in monthly check-ins. Ms. Marshall meets with the principals once a month. I meet with the assistant principals once a month. We have similar agendas in that we talk about what the progress is towards their goals, their school goals. We talk about observations and instruction and the trends that they're seeing. We offer support. So it's an ongoing, more of a one-on-one opportunity for each school to have both of us on campus once a month. And administrative observations are happening throughout the year, nonstop. And I would love it to be even more. The more data we have, the more feedback we can provide, the better off we will be. So we have walkthroughs, informals, and formals. They occur, and with those come coaching conversations, which are very student-centered. What do you notice the kids learning? How do you know they learned it? What's happening in there? We're asking teachers to reflect on what kids are doing. Not necessarily what they're doing, but what do we see kids doing or not doing, and what do we need to do to adjust to improve those outcomes? Ready?
Yep. And thinking about that big picture conversation, core elements. Oh, that one. Okay.
It's backwards.
There we go. Big picture, holistic conversation, all those different pieces we have in place where we're really looking towards building a more intertwined system that's looking at student data, that's looking at professional development, and it's looking at instruction and how do we marry those more together, more intimately, so that we're using all those pieces of information to find what are the strategies needed to move forward and increase academic outcomes or all kinds of outcomes for students, really, not just academic outcomes, but those opportunities for them to move forward. And we have so many loops embedded into the system to get feedback from peers, to get feedback from other educators, that it's really growing and gaining quite a bit of momentum this year, and moving into next year, we'll find even happier success. Yep. Core elements. Sure. And again, with the core elements of these systems being intertwined, a big component is reflection, thinking about where we're at and where we need to go with what it is we're doing, and making sure that our decisions are data-driven, based on information that we're collecting to make decisions. We're not just going on intuition and saying this feels good or this looks good or I heard this is popular or TikTok says this is the way to go, so I'm going with that. We're looking to make all of our decisions based on data. 6, 7. And then also, I don't know why I said that. You got me to do it. My kids have programmed me to say that now. So again, and then lastly, we're also looking for actionable feedback loops between all parties to grow. It's not an accountability measure. It's a how do we get better as a collective. And also making sure that we're utilizing best practices. We're not utilizing strategies that are ineffective or not deemed to be effective. We're trying to prioritize, pick those strategies that are best and maximize their outcomes as much as possible. And really the whole process is about systems integrations and making sure that all of our tools are aligned together to create efficiencies, not redundancies, and maximize outcomes in moving forward.
I think in summary, the biggest, the key word is process. And process means ongoing, right? We've aligned these different systems and we're trying to strengthen teacher practice, leadership capacity, and student learning, but it's an ongoing process that we continue to go back to and continue to improve. And we're proud of that commitment to doing that. Thank you. I'll take any questions.
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Marshall.
Before your questions, I just wanted to clarify, when Ms. Webb said that we have done 2 rounds of going out to the schools, I wanted to clarify that we've been to each of the schools, and then in the spring, we would do the 2 rounds again to go to each school. So I didn't want you to think it was just 2 schools that we've been to. We've been to all of the campuses so that we're providing that support for the administrators and the teachers. As well as learning ourselves.
The benefit of being a small district, right? You can
Yes.
actually go to all of them twice in a semester. Questions? Ms. Kazi?
Wow. It occurs to me that a system of this level and robustness really depends on a high level of trust and confidence that the system will result in higher student achievement, what ultimately we're here to do. So I'm curious if you believe that the Madison culture allows this type of system, I know you're in the earlier stages up, to be successful, or do you believe that the system might be building that culture as well? I'm just curious about that.
I think that it is probably. Yeah, that's me, right? I think it's yin yang, right? I think it's both. I think it does both. I think that the culture that we have, the way that we have set the system up, I truly believe you lead by example. You lead by taking risks and showing that. There have been there have been flaws, there have been stumbling blocks as we go along, and as we get those, we approach those, we talk about those openly, we help each other, and we move forward. I think that at least with the teacher evaluation instrument, there's a belief that the components in there are good instructional practices, and the administrators, at least that have talked with me about it, and I think it's pretty much all of them, have said, no, these are good, these are things that we need to improve upon, so they believe in that. So then fixing all the things that come with it is more allowable, I think. But I think the system also, if we can get that down, will then also build trust in terms of teachers knowing that, yeah, this is great, because we will end up with a result that is what everyone wants, which is student achievement, right? It makes everyone feel good when kids do well. So I think it's both.
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Gresham.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Brownlee, but since we have an administrator on the
Well, you stole my I wanted to do the same thing.
Oh, you were going to put him on the spot too? Okay, I don't feel so bad, but yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts or feedback or how it's going. We never call on you, so this is good.
I was hoping to get away without speaking. No, I think the process has really been focused in on getting away from the I gotcha. And the old system was I could do a great dog and pony show for an hour, and you need to rate me on that, and not the complaints that I've been getting for the last 2 weeks from parents on other things, or how the performance you've been seeing in my classroom when you've come in before. So this is an opportunity to really help, I think, teachers see it as it's an opportunity for growth over time. And so it's really, even though we are maybe not rating ourselves as highly effective now, there's areas to work towards and grow in as time goes on, especially with this idea of coming to the end of the year and doing a summative conference with every teacher, hopefully really helping them see that it's all about growth as well for them too. So
Piggybacking off of that question, and I'm going to leave this open to whomever can best answer it, if it's multiple people. I'm wondering if this exercise is not only helping us, build better teachers, but also when we have turnover, think about effective strategies for the types of teachers that we want to recruit. Because there might be a different mindset, right? Or things that you're learning from interacting might be characteristics you might look for in the next teachers that you're hiring. So I'm just curious, either from an administrator perspective or at the district level, if you think that some of the things that we'll be learning from this instrument might actually help inform recruitment.
You can start.
Sure, I'll take a stab at this first. Yeah, I think so. I mean, one of the reasons why I came back to medicine was because of the personal growth I made back 24 years ago. And I believe that the systems that medicine had put in place, and even knowing and hearing about it as I came back, helped me believe that those are just good practices that districts really should be embracing. And at the time, the district where I was at, although a lot of good things were going on, not the level of support that our teachers need to be successful in the classroom. And hence the reason why I'm back. I think this does help with recruitment. I think teachers do talk, and if they feel that there's support and at a variety of levels, that helps them feel like they can do their job and be successful.
I think it also provides the opportunity for our schools to choose candidates wisely. If we know these are the things that are important, we can design questions for our applicants that relate to what we're looking for and choose the best fit for our campuses. And it helps us get a head start, right? But at least we know that they're aligned with our values of what we find important. So I think it can be a really helpful tool. I agree with Mr. Brownlee. Some of the feedback we've seen in MTI, reasons why candidates are coming. In MTI, they do talk about support. We hear about the support that teachers have. In MTI, I think, especially this year, Madison Teacher Induction Program is what I'm talking about. Sorry, full of acronyms. Teachers have talked very openly about, boy, this is great. We have this support available to us. We have mentors. We have instructional coaches that will come out and help. So those supports are available, and all of those people are also aligned with what they know what we're doing with the teacher evaluation system. Even though they're not evaluative, they help make connections for teachers. They're also very well versed in all of the school's SIAP plans. That's why we include them in ILT. So they know, they have cheat sheets on what the priority levels are for, or priority areas are for every single campus, and they can relate what they see with teachers and say, I'm coaching you on this. Hey, remember, that's attached to the TES, and also that's part of your school goals. This is probably an important thing for us to work on. So it's all integrated. That's what the goal is.
Thanks. I've got you. But first, Mr. Holcomb.
Yeah, you took my main question, but listening to this too, do you really have that level of teacher buy-in, particularly from and administrators, from those who've been around for a long time? Because this is obviously very comprehensive and very, by the way, it seems very well thought out, process that you have. But is it seen really as help, or is it just another administrative, does does it look like it's just another level of administrative or non-teaching things that we need to, do at the time spent?
By whom? Teachers or administrators?
Yes.
Okay. I think administrators, there's always a balance. This is a new system, and and that's one of those challenges that I talked about, in that we have to address those head on. So we have a robust system, which in order to improve, we have to have feedback to people. We have to be able to give feedback. In order to give feedback, we have to know what's going on to give feedback, which means we have to be in classrooms. And we had a very frank conversation, yesterday. Gosh, seems like a long time ago. It was yesterday. About, okay, we have more observations in certain areas, with certain ones over others. What are the barriers that we are experiencing? Let's talk about those. Everyone believes in the work, I believe. It's those things that get in the way, like time, like paperwork, like all the managerial types of things that we work to overcome. So I think those are the things we're working on to get over. Teacher-wise, it's hit or miss, and we've tried to make this as painless as possible through having a hold harmless year of scores not counting towards pay for performance, so that we have a learning year. If your scores are lower, that's okay, because you have a place to go, right? It's not affecting any of your income. It's not affecting any of any payment, but it's a safety net that's allowing them to be risk takers, to improve, to get feedback, and get better. And that's what we're after. Now, will there be hiccups on that? Absolutely. We have teachers who want to be highly effective, and they may not be rated as such this year on a new instrument. And those are things we have to work through with teachers. So, reality of it.
Yeah, just to echo that, I think we have a lot of staff who want that highly effective rating, and that's a driving force, even though they know that it's not tied to money for this year. And so it's good though, because it's helping push that conversation for growth. And I think from the administrator side, we wanted the ability to not have an I gotcha moment with teachers, to have a process that goes throughout the whole year and collects data for the teachers, so that way we can have a really fruitful conversation. And even if we're rated highly effective, where could we still get better and grow? So yeah, I think, but again, with the teacher sides, it is hit or miss. But from the administrative perspective, yes, we were supportive of it. But it is a learning process for all of us, and really trying to help coach and focus on that coaching conversation with our staff.
But hey, just last thing is, I found this hugely informative. Because I mean, it was, about this, but having to walk through the whole process and really trying for myself to follow, not because to really follow and put it together, really showed me, how integrated this process is and how much effort is being put into it, how much investment it is. So I thank you for the presentation, and thank you for your comments.
Mr. Hunt and then Ms. Marshall.
Just first, I'm the son of 2 lifelong public school educators in the state of Arizona, and I know that my parents dreaded teacher evaluation every year. It was not a good time to have a conversation around the dinner table. So one of the things I just want to applaud you on here is this appears to me, not as a teacher, but it appears in what you've presented that this is more coming alongside than we're going to come in and evaluate you for an hour, and that's going to be the result of your career. And so I think just kudos to you on that. In my professional work, I do a lot of program development, and I always think about in systems, building systems, can we build systems that are repeatable? And the mark of a good system being one that can be repeated in varied, chaotic circumstances. So are there components or scaffolding that you've built into this plan that makes it repeatable in more austere circumstances than we might be in today?
Both systems or just TES? Both systems?
Both systems.
I have to only think about this.
Okay. So thinking about the building the impact tool that we use for the school integrated action plans, I do think it's repeatable. We're actually going through a process now where we're using it outside of the school improvement process so that we can work with directors, different directors from educational services that aren't in research and evaluation and curriculum instruction to help them learn about that process so that when they're engaging in different initiatives that maybe aren't looking at increasing a test score or what, but they can go through that same process of, all right, have I done this step? Have I done this step? Have we done this step? And so forth and so on. And then what's the outcome that we want? So as far as using the tool building impact, it is meant to function in various different systems and maybe even some unique ones at that. I do think it's repeatable.
So I'm going to separate the tool from the system. So the tool itself, I don't know, because tools will change. The system that we use to create this tool, I believe, is replicable. In the fact that it was research-based, that is a replicable thing that you would do when you're creating anything, right? You're going to go for research, you're going to go for rationale, because you need to create the buy-in. The process that we use to roll out, to create, we went to administrators first, got buy-in, got input, got what do we need to include in this type of an instrument? What are the goals that we have? What are the issues that we see that we want to address through a system like this? So we went through that process. We went through once it was developed, we went through training administrators. We went through a process with teachers to be able to look at it and address their issues with it. When we've rolled out, we've created training manuals. We've created all the things that administrators need to train their staff in TCT on each of the elements. We created a system where we're only doing half of the instrument this year so we could really intently focus, and 4 out of the 5 are observable things in a classroom, so we could get that taken care of. Next year we'll roll out the other 6. And we also have a hold harmless year. So all of those things in rolling out, I think, are system decisions that we make that can be replicable and having success no matter what the actual tool is, because research will change, right, with the tool. So in those indicators might have to change, but the system we use to build it, I think, is very replicable. Yeah.
Ms. Marshall.
So Laura addressed one of the things I just wanted to make sure to share when you're asking about teacher support, being very intentional in how we rolled it out and only rolling out a portion of it so that teachers could really focus on those changes and get good at those, and then next year to roll out the next. So rather than giving them the whole thing at once. So that was very intentional. And then President Thompson, you had asked about the recruitment. And I just wanted to point out that they've talked a lot about the instructional leadership team meetings, which is driven by educational services. But when we talk about the teacher evaluation system, Dr. Lomeli has prioritized her calendar to attend so that she's hearing and seeing and working alongside educational services and the principals so that as she's doing the recruitment for the district, she knows those look-fors for teachers as well. So that's been a real strength that we've had as well.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you so much for the presentation today.
I'll just add real quick that I love the empowerment aspect and that it incorporates leadership for the teachers. It's great. Thank you.
Yeah. I think it just shows that commitment throughout the year, Mr. Hunt, to your point, not that I got to come into your classroom so I can get this done. It could be a gotcha, it might not be, but really a continuous commitment to our students and educators is what's so important. And I think that sends a message to recruitment. It sends a message to our administrators, how they're thinking about recruiting. It sends a message to applicants. If they want to be able to get away with I can do a dog and pony for an hour, this is not the place for them. And I think that that's good on all sides, right? Last item, discussion of future meetings. Dr. Guerin.
I just have to make a comment. If instruments have come so far, and I've been in this business 32 years. My first instrument had unsatisfactory, satisfactory, and not applicable. And there was room for one sentence at the bottom where I would get a compliment, and that one sentence meant so much to me because I was thirsty for feedback on the practice I loved. So I just wanted to applaud the presentation today. Really outstanding work. So we have a meeting in December. And we will have a public hearing on a revised district budget, as Mr. Thompson shared, and we will have some second reads. The big event is going to be the return of the demographer, Mr. Brammer, to show Madison-specific information. And then we also are bringing back a community education program fee schedule, some minor changes there. And then all of a sudden it will be January, and it will be time for the board to reorganize. As you know, we keep the January meeting very short and focused on reorg. We might have one or two other very small items, and then we will have a January 27th meeting. So time flies when we're having fun.
Any comments from board members?
Just a quick question on the fees. That's coming as an information item. Is that because we'll do it as an information item and vote on it later?
Great question, board member Holcomb. So yeah, there's too many Scotts. So anyway, I almost said Thompson. So that is going to be an information item, and it will come back as an action item in our January. Whenever we're considering fees, we want to make sure there's time for public comment. So good and important.
Any other questions?
So we have showcases and awards at both in December and January? Not January, just December.
Second January meeting, not the organizational meeting.
Actually, we might bring the fee schedule as an action item in the January organizational meeting, just so we have time to implement it. But the presentation would be
We don't have
in
any
December.
executive sessions planned, right?
No, we do not.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Tie.
Right. Motion made by Ms. Gresham. Do I have a quarter? I can flip it. I'll give it to Mr. Hunt this time.
Yeah.
Seconded by Mr. Hunt. Please vote. See if this one takes as long to show up as the consent agenda one did. Motion passes unanimously. Meeting adjourned.
Well, we blew past here.
That is a very
Yeah, feel the same way.
No, very much.
Yeah, Johnny, I couldn't tell whether you were agreeing with them or nodding off. I mean.
Thank you, Laura. Thank